Cavs now winners in overtime, 117-113. But, I mean, again, borderline deserved it tonight. They were bad in the fourth quarter. They were not coming up clutch. Overtime, they definitely changed things around a little bit. I mean, played really good defense, I think, inside of the period there. James Harden got a little bit scary with the free throws. He had been so good all night. And then as the game was on the line, the free throws were not falling. But you got enough done on where it counted. The Cavs managed to steal this. And I'm going to be honest, I'm almost at a loss for words. Like, I'm so baffled by the way this game went. My heart has been racing for probably 45 minutes. The opposite of expectation of the way this game went. I thought it would be ugly. I expected the Cavs to come out much better out of the gate, particularly to have a much better second quarter. Third quarter was incredible, but it was fight tooth and nail. Fight any way that you actually can. And I said before the game, right, my X factor of the game was the fact that James Harden had to show up tonight. And he was not perfect. He did turn the ball over 6 times. Keep in mind, it was an overtime game. But he ended the game with 38-6. Was 11 of 14 from the free throw line. 8 of 21 from the field. And while Donovan struggled for a majority of this game, make no mistake, James Harden was, pretty much the reason that you were staying alive. Him and Max Strus were a massive part on why this team was able to battle, why they were able to fight. And we have a lot of contributions to get to out of the quarter, the course of this final hour that we're definitely going to hit on. We're going to try to hear from Kenny at some point during this too. But James Harden's your leading scorer. He was the guy who had the offense rolling. He was a plus 11 tonight while you look towards Donovan and Evan, and they were -4 and -7. They were much better with James on the floor than they were with Donovan on the floor. It was kind of the opposite that we looked at, and I think it was game 2 was definitely like that, but I think game 3 was in a very similar manner, if I'm not mistaken, where James Harden was killing you a little bit, right, up until that fourth quarter, and the units were just absolutely flipped, and Donovan was carrying you through a lot of it. Game 2 was definitely in that way where Donovan was, definitely holding the team afloat on the road. But again, at the end of the day, it is not going to be about the way that you had to get it done. The Cavs had to find a way to break the streak and win a game on the road by any means necessary, any way that you could possibly have it happen. And I think they took that to its fullest extent tonight. You make the game ugly. You do what you have to do, and you find a way to outscore the Pistons in this game. You find a way to force it to overtime. You find any means possible. Like I said, the turnovers, they've been better than they were in some nights. You still turn the ball over 16 times, a lot of turnovers in that first half. But it's the way that you have to have it happen. They battled back from what was an abysmal points conceded off turnovers at the half. I tweeted out, it was 10-2. Or 20-2, excuse me. It was 20-2. You were not capitalizing when you were getting the turnovers against the Pistons, and they were absolutely capitalizing, and you weren't getting back in transition defense. By the end of the game, those numbers, I'm not saying they were great, but it was 27-16. It went from an 18-point margin in the first half down to an 11-point margin. And the Cavs got 14 points off turnovers. They desperately needed a turnaround. And so many big moments down the stretch that decide this game. All the way from Max Strus with a massive steal on Cade Cunningham down the stretch. James Harden missing a free throw and getting his own rebound while the Cavs were up just 3. I will say, again, for a team that I look at and I say, I don't even know that you deserved it because the way you played in the fourth quarter, I don't even know how you got this thing to overtime. It is a team who, I think at the back end of it, showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of hustle, did everything in their power to try to muscle their way through this game. And I wouldn't describe it as clutch. I don't think that anybody's going to be feeling comfortable with them if they head onto the road in Game 7. You are not going to feel like this team, they have the ability to win on the road. They can outplay the Pistons inside of Detroit. That's possible. But as they get down into the closing moments and final moments of a game, I don't think tonight did a whole lot for you to kind of push that narrative of, this team knows how to settle down. They know how to execute at the end of games, and they know what they need to do. again, they did just about anything but that. But you talk about grabbing offensive boards, you talk about fighting under the rim, trying to get hands up and contest at the end of the game, trying to let anybody not named Cade Cunningham beat you, which was the opposite of the defensive strategy you implored all night long. I mean, it was a Cade night through and through. He dropped nearly 40. It was 39. He was 6 of 10 from 3. The next highest score was Danis Jenkins with 19. And beyond that was Tobias Harris, who had 13. You neutralized basically everybody else that could actually make an impact. It was go let Cade have his, but they changed the approach at the right time. And I think there are a lot of things that you give the Cavs credit for down the stretch. Again, execution is not going to be one of them. They were not clutch in this game. They were as good as they needed to be. But I think if you look to this team and probably give a lot of props to Kenny Atkinson in the way that he handled the game tonight, there were a lot of mistakes on the floor, but I think from a coaching perspective of don't let Cade beat you in the fourth quarter and overtime, they did just about everything they possibly could to not let Cade beat them. It was constant doubles. It was force him off the ball and literally make anybody else have to do it. Let it be Danis Jenkins. Let it be Karis LeVert. In fact, they gave up a wide open 3 to Karis LeVert. I think it was overtime, and it might have been for the lead, for the opportunity to hit it. It was the lead or the tie. And, I mean, Karis did what role players in the NBA do in clutch moments. Put on a really good shot, but not a good enough one to make it fall. Again, oddly enough, yes, James Harden was probably, across the board, at least your best offensive player tonight, was the most consistent guy for you. Overall, best player, I think you can have a conversation probably about Evan had a handful of turnovers. Jarrett had a nice double-double. Max Strus is definitely probably the guy you would point to. MVP for tonight might just be Kenny. Like, as odd as it is I don't think the rotations were perfect. I think the game plan that you executed, especially knowing Duncan Robinson's not out there, they came in with a proper game plan. Execution spotty, but I think this was the proper way to attack the Pistons. I think especially when we talk about playing them in Detroit, so much of the attention in games 1 and 2 was we have to stop Cade. We can't let Cade, go out and win the game for them. It was, if Cade's going to drop 50 on us tonight, well, make Cade go drop 50 on you tonight. They forced him into 6 turnovers. They forced him to have to make decisions. And down the stretch of the game, like, Cade was a negative for them. He played 48 minutes, so it was hard not to be. But he ended up being a negative on the floor in the plus-minus. Definitely not a negative as a player. He was fantastic tonight. But he was a negative in the plus-minus. They did what they had to do. 216-474-0092. Cavs, again, winners 117-113, taking the 3-2 series lead.